Hello everyone and welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Sincerely hope everybody is doing amazingly well today. Welcome one and all, whether this is the first time you have ever clicked onto a video or whether you are returning. Today we have a wonderful reading today. Even though these are timeless messages, this will be a timeless message, meaning that anytime you click on it, it will be relevant. However, yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. So, in that energy, decided to do magical messages from the Druid realm today. So we're finding out some magical messages just for you. So as always, we have pile 1, 2, and 3. On our first pile, we have our moonstone. Second pile, we have the lapis stone. And third pile, we have our clear quartz. Sorry, that eluded me for a second. Clear quartz here. So as always, take as much time as you need. If you need to go ahead and pause the video, the more in touch or aligned you are with your own soul and your own intuition, the more these readings resonate. As always, the timestamps will be down below. And as always, a very, very general disclaimer. These are general readings, obviously. These are general readings because I do not know each and every one of you. So feel free to take what resonates and don't worry about what doesn't. If one pile does not resonate, feel free to take a second pile. If that pile does not resonate, it means maybe messages are not for you today, but feel free to come back and join us at another time. I'm sure there will be messages for you then. Let's get into your reading here. I'm going to put aside pile 2 and pile 3 for now. So if you chose pile 1 and it's your beautiful moonstone here, and of course again these are general these are timeless readings, but this is also the full moon in March. So if you chose the moonstone, a little extra vavum for energy here today, and you have magical messages from the Druid realm. So thought bring it wide open today and see what happens, what messages comes through. So we are starting with Oracle and then moving on to Tarot for a little extra clarity later on. Let's get into your messages. So you have Restriction here is your first card, and we'll see what that means in just a second. And then you have Soul Satisfaction. Honor your uniqueness. Do what makes you feel good. Beautiful. That's a gorgeous card there. Move that on. And then you have Eagle, Communication. Communion. I'm sorry. Communion. Beautiful. Not communication. Communion. And then you have Vision Quest, the Desert. And then you have Man Holding a Coin, and number 43 or 7 if you put those together. So what's going on for you, pile 1? So the energy of moving forward is absolutely with you, and it's a gorgeous energy of really finding out what it is that you want to do. So there's this energy here where you feel as though, a lot of you feel as though, you know, you're somewhat clear. You have a somewhat clarity around what it is that you want to do, but or you've started on a path that was quite open, and now it's about the specifics of what it is that you want to do, and you're not quite there yet, or you've started on a path and you've decided halfway through that not necessarily that you want to go in a completely different path, but you want to narrow the path in a way, but in a good way. You want to really hone in on what it is that you want to do. Maybe you started off sort of keeping things rather open as you were on this sort of like expressive path, and now you want to hone in on the things that really make your soul sing. So there's just at the end of this, of course, the end of this path that you choose, that's really very much with your own heart, there is success. And this is what it is that you want to do. You want to focus on you becoming a success. And there's a myriad of different ways of doing this. And even though there is a man holding a coin, which is wonderful, and first of all, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. Anybody who's spiritual absolutely can be a complete success, and money, abundance, all of that stuff. There's no reason why you wouldn't want that. And if you don't, that's great too. So whatever success means to you, and it will be individualized based on what each and every one of you want. And again, you're not on the wrong path by any stretch of the means. You've been really open and expressive about what it is that you want. But for some of you, it'll be different for each and every one of you. For some of you, it'll be honing in on that path and picking something within that you want to go with. But for some of you, it feels as though what you've picked isn't quite enough, and you're being asked to come back sort of to the table and be very clear or be very honest about the direction that you want to take. This is a time for you to move in a direction, and if you choose a direction that's in line with your soul, you'll absolutely take off. And also, for some of you, this may be a direction you may have started on a path and left it open on purpose, so you can bring in a bunch of viewers or a certain type of people, and now you've gotten to the point where you feel as though you've delivered all you can on that path, and the path is not as enticing to you as it once was. And if it's not as enticing to you, then, and you're not really feeling as though you're speaking your voice completely or your uniqueness is completely being honored, then your interest in that path is sort of falling away. Again, we want to be very clear. This is not about you've chosen the wrong path and now you need to back up and figure out. There's nothing dramatic about this. This is more about sort of fine tuning. But in the fine tuning, there's going to be this new collaboration of soul. There's going to be a new area for you to move in. There's going to be a new way for you to step up into this sort of new role that you have. And it's important that you figure out what that is. And also for a lot of you, it's important that you factor in. Yes, I mean, let's take if you have a YouTube channel, for instance. We're just giving you a very specific example, but just say you've started a YouTube channel and you absolutely love what you've done, but you feel as though you've gone as far as you possibly can with it. It's important for you to have that energy and that vitality back again. So you're going to have to come back, and not going to have to, it's up to you what you do, but you might want to come back and sort of figure out what you can do to sort of bring in your soul, your soul path here. And even if that means going in a slightly different direction, we don't want you to feel as though you're trapped because you've started something with a very specific intent and now you're sort of veering off a little bit. That's okay. There might be a little bit of a time where there's an overlap, where the old is falling away, but new folks will come in for you. It's more important that you feel as though you're completely and totally aligned with what you want to do. One of the things that you're here to do in this lifetime is to bring your vision and to bring your beauty, your uniqueness, and your voice to the world. So if you feel in any way, Pile 1, that your voice is being even slightly stifled, then you're going to feel as though you're not going to be able to step up completely in the way that you were before when you started this. And again, we don't want you to focus on the fact that this needs to be started again, or you've trapped yourself in something. That's not true. This is a tweak in perception, but it does require you to be very honest about where you are and how you feel your voice is being honored in the world, because it could affect you at some point if you don't honor your voice in every way, shape or form. And we want to remind you that regardless of what you've started and regardless of what you've opened up to the world, which is wonderful, it's important that you honor yourself first and you honor the messages that you want to put your life and soul and blood behind, putting it out into the world, right? We also want to remind you that no matter what, if your soul and your heart is in everything that you say with your truth, then people will follow you. You'll find an audience. So just do what you need to do. And again, this is very specific. We use the YouTube as a specific thing, as a specific example, because a lot of people are starting YouTube channels now with everything that's happened in the last couple of years. People want to reach out to people, and people want to be just a voice of collaboration for others, which is absolutely wonderful. So, people are stepping up, and YouTube is one way, podcasts are another way. But just as an example of how you would start and say, you know what, I want to move in a slightly different direction, but I've already, the direction that I've moved in has gotten me this far. Again, go back. It doesn't matter. You will find your audience no matter what. Go back to what you truly want and make sure that your voice is being truly honored and that you feel as though you have the expansiveness to move forward, to be able to do what you want to do. Again, sometimes it can be a fine line in that way because you want to honor what you've done already. But none of this really requires you, again, veering off in such a way that you are turning your back on anything that you've done. See it as a layering up of beautiful aspects of self that you're putting out there. But in this way, it's more about leveling up on your part. Let's get you some tarot and see what you have. But for a lot of you, you've come to a sort of crossroads where what you've done is wonderful, and you may have achieved something that's absolutely incredible. We're not saying that, every single one of you, again, it's a general reading, but every single one of you would have achieved something, whether you're comparing yourself to somebody else or not. So it's not necessarily that you're starting from the beginning. And if you are starting from the beginning, then we would say, really click into your voice and your understanding of truth and be very clear about what it is that you want to do. But for most of you, you're already quite firmly on this path. It's about how you honor it properly and get your energy back into alignment. For some of you, you've come out of alignment a little bit and there's been a little bit of a haze, more like a fog coming in and around about what you do, and you're not as excited as you were before. And some of you are wondering if this is, a bad thing, if you need to give this up, if you need to go in a completely different direction. And for most of you, you really don't need to go in a completely different direction. Again, it's just more about the perception and the tweaking and maybe putting your energy, whatever new energy that you've been through, whatever new collaborations and new perceptions that you've sort of come to understand recently, they need to be integrated fully into what you do so you can level up on different ways, in different ways. And we want to remind you that even though if you have an audience and there's a certain amount of catering to that, at the end of the day, it really is you've got to have your heart in what you do. And you're being asked, what is it that you absolutely love? The universe is asking you right now, what do you want? What do you really want? And they are willing to deliver it, but you have to be very honest about what it is that you want. And it's not that you're deliberately trying to, run away from what you want, but you may find that when you're being asked what you want and you answer, it might be something slightly different than you thought it was going to be. And some of you may be worried that, something that you've built already may be kind of moving away from you. But again, there's a way to incorporate all of it together, but you are being asked what your soul truly wants right now. And it's time for you to answer, because that magic is there and it absolutely can be delivered, but it's up to you to be honest about what that is. So with restriction, you have oppression, which is absolutely wonderful. And it's reversed. So there is absolutely a way out of this without a shadow of a doubt. And, there's no blame game here. There's no blame game whatsoever, but we are going to give you some real talk because that's what we do here on Unicorn Light Tarot. This is also in your head. You've made this yourself. You've made this a problem yourself by putting the restriction there yourself, by saying, I can't move in any direction. I've kind of narrowed my version of the world here. I can't have everything I want. And the universe is saying, you can have everything you want. You just have to tell us what that is. Now, for most of you, you have an inkling of what this is. It's not coming out of nowhere. It's just coming from a place of, I'm not sure if I can get it, so I'm going to sort of settle for this. And what I've settled for is actually pretty amazing. And everybody's telling me that it's pretty amazing. And it is pretty amazing, right? It's amazing. But you're still settling for it. And your soul is kind of yearning for what it is that you absolutely want. Now, we've used an example of business, of something that you're doing for money or building some type of energy where you're working with people in the world with your specific spiritual knowledge. But this could be over any kind of thing. This could be like relationships, being honest about what you truly want, and having something amazing, or just a job that you have that you absolutely love, but you're yearning for something else. This again, for each and every one of you, this could be slightly different. Now, for some of you, it could be an amalgam of many different things with the energy of your entire life when you look at it, with everything, with relationships, with family, with food, with everything that's going on in your life. You're being asked to level up. Again, none of this is intense. Wherever you are is absolutely brilliant. If you see it like a lily pad, you're on the right pond, you're on this lily pad, all you need to do is choose and then hop on over to another one. So regardless of where you believe you are so close to what it is that you want. And for most of you, you already know what that is. You have at least an inkling of it, and you've sort of skirted around it before. So you do know what it is. You just have to ask for it. Yeah, the cuppeth run over here. You've got the Ten of Pentacles coming in. There's absolutely no reason you cannot have everything that you want, but it's absolutely imperative that you ask for it. Everything that you've done in your life, we want to remind you, has been leading up to this moment where you've been preparing for whatever it is that you actually want. Now, we don't think in many ways that you are dumbing yourself down. Again, it's not that dramatic. It's sort of a subtle kind of energy. That's why a lot of you could be quite confused, because as you're like sort of a little bit disillusioned and a little bit foggy, people could be around you going, but you've done this and you've done this and it's incredible what you've done, it's be proud of that. And we're not saying don't be proud of that, and that may be sort of skewing a little bit your perception too, because you're like, I should be more grateful for this. I should be more grateful for it. I do have a great platform, or I do have a great partner, or I do have whatever. But at the same time, there is this yearning. There is this wanting to sort of expand and feeling as though where you are right now won't quite allow that. And again, it will. Be very clear about what it is that you want and ask the universe and step up. And also take those steps. Walk from, take that step from one lily pad to the next. You're already on the next pond. Having faith that everything will work out, that the right job is out there for you, or the right audience is out there for you, or the right partner is out there for you. This is time for you to be very, very honest about what you want, and be very honest about your success, because there's a receptive energy that's coming in with the divine feminine, but also there's an aligned action with the divine masculine. So this is the chance for you to take divine action in order to be able to achieve exactly what it is that you want. Now, what we don't want necessarily is you getting to the top of your game at something that you're not 100% in. Your heart isn't 100% in, where you're sort of you don't feel as though you can express yourself quite in the way that you want to. So this is the time, because you are on the precipice of completely and totally taking off. So this is the time for you to reassess where you are, what you want. And again, when you're clear to the universe about what it is that you want, they can take that path and they can expand it for you. You don't necessarily have to be very clear about the steps that you take in order to get there. The universe is willing to meet you halfway, because like we said, you've been on this path in one way or another, whether it's metaphorical, whether it's spiritual, whether it's physical. You've been on this path. Whether you've been clearing out and focusing on the healing, that's still on the path. Now you're at the point where they're asking you what you want. So here you've got the Six of Staves, which is wonderful, yeah, and you've got tradition. So, this is an energy of what you think that you can have in some ways, based on your voice, based on what you've built, based on, not being, quote unquote, too out there, right? Honor your uniqueness. It came up right at the beginning here. We've got it in the unicorn card down there. No matter what you say, all elements of what you believe and what you say is going to be heard and understood by many more people than you're giving yourself credit for. And there's no way that you would know that until you put yourself out there. It feels as though you've gotten to the point of where you are, and you've embraced a lot of your uniqueness and your quirkiness, which is absolutely wonderful, but you can go a little bit further, and you've gotten to the point where you're a little bit nervous about sort of embracing the totality that is you, wondering if there will be celebration in and around that. And this reading, and again, this can appear in any way, shape or form in different parts of your life, or in many parts of your life. And you are being assured that your voice, no matter how quirky, no matter what you believe, will be celebrated. And the platform that you've started, again, does not need to be ripped down. Just go in the direction that you feel is important. Because at the end of the day, you're here to honor your own voice, your own heart, and your own soul. And if you cannot do that, why are we here, right? So for some of you, you've been feeling a little bit down and again, a little bit foggy, missing a little bit of that magic in your life. But also, there's no real oppression. It's just that this is coming back to what you feel you deserve. And again, this is stuff that you've worked on. This is stuff that you've worked on very deeply with your inner child, with your bloodline. So this is, as we say here in Unicorn Light Tarot, don't go down the rabbit hole of feeling as though you need to go, to give up everything and go off and heal all of this and then come back out and see what you're working with. Not at all. This might be just inklings of things that are coming up that's, my voice won't be honored, and because your voice was not honored when you were younger. These are just little things that are coming up for you to be faced that may be sort of holding you back a little bit. But as you face them head on, you'll realize that you've integrated a lot of this work and you don't really feel this way. It's just a part of you that's coming up that's fragmented, that's looking to be integrated. So as you're looking through all of this and you're saying, I'm a little bit nervous about really stepping up or going in this direction full on or full blast, right? Going out there full throttle. I'm holding myself back a little bit. Look at the ways that you've held yourself back in the world. For most of you, you've held yourself back in the world in some ways, not showing your quirkiness at times, not done this, not done that. Holding yourself back is something that you've learned how to do out of protection. But then, in the last couple of years, you've been opening up and you've been doing this. And again, if you've built some kind of platform or you're out in the world the way that you want, you put yourself incrementally out there only to find that your voice was absolutely honored. And now there's no reason, if you want to tweak it or open up that perception or just really go at it, there's no reason why your voice would not be honored again. You have an entrance to the truth. You have a beautiful way of articulating yourself. You have a gorgeous energy. Somebody is going to listen to you. You don't need to worry about not being seen or feel as though you need to dumb yourself down in any way, shape, or form to be seen and to be accepted. That's an essence of what that's going on. It almost feels as though for some of you, you've come to a crossroads. And now this is a very, very exciting time, but it doesn't feel that exciting for you because it feels as though if you go in the direction that you truly, truly want, that you either won't be able to sort of reach it. So maybe you should stay where you are because the universe won't really deliver what you want. Or, if you open yourself up in that totality, who you are completely, all aspects of yourself and show that, then the people that are in and around you now will not want to stay there. And that's not entirely true. You may lose some people along the way, but really at the end of the day, what you'll be gaining is a whole new audience, is a whole new way of being, is a whole new relationship, if that's what you're looking at, again, to a degree of what it is that's going on in your life and what area of this life this pertains to. For some of you, it's many different areas of your life, but you are being asked to step up. Be honest about what you want. Know that you can receive it. And any fragmented energy that's coming up for you right now, it's absolutely ready to be integrated. If it's coming up for you right now and it's providing this kind of foggy energy, oh my God, I can't do this, and it's blowing it a little bit out of proportion, which is sometimes what the ego does just to get your attention. It wants to get your attention because you're on the precipice of something big, and the universe wants to make sure that what it is that you've asked for is enough. They're giving you a second chance here to say, is this really what you want? You can go higher. It's up to you. So if you've been looking at your life recently and you've asked for something and it's a little bit stagnant, it's not really panning out the way that you wanted exactly. It might be because the universe is asking you if this is what you really want or if you want to step up in some way. And there could be an amalgam of many different things that you want. So you don't have to choose just one thing, but it does mean for you to integrate those fragmented parts of yourself that are coming back and want to be seen, and also being honest about your route and where you're taking and what you're doing, and stepping up and sort of in a brand new way with an energy of liberation on your part, and coming back to that being integrated and feeling as though what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing in this world, you know, not this stagnated sort of energy. For some of you, you've been backing off on your path a little bit because you're not as integrated, you're not as excited as you once were. And that's fine. And then, you know, of course, your ego mind and your practical mind comes in and goes, oh, maybe we're not supposed to be doing this anymore. And then maybe they blow it out of proportion. You used to be so into this and then you're not. It's really not that. It's just that you can still keep the platform that you have, but just go off in a different way. Again, none of this requires like huge action on your part, but it does require a huge shift in perception. And the universe is asking you right now, this is your divine timing to be able to do that. Get back to that magic in your life. Get back to that magical thinking. Get back to that understanding that you can have exactly what you want. You are not here, and we're here to remind you, Pal One, you're not here to dumb yourself down. You're not here to not have a magical life. You're not here to not get what you want. You're here to get everything that you want. You just have to ask for it. This is your time. So if things aren't panning out the way that you wanted to, maybe you want to refocus your efforts and say, maybe this was a good thing, because there's celebration out there. There's absolutely, you know, time and energy for me to get what I want and be very good at it. I mean, this is, you know, the success results coming in every way, shape or form. This tangible results. This is money coming in for you if you step up to the plate and really exist the way that you want to without compromising yourself. What does that look like? If you don't know exactly what you want, look at your life. Meditate on what your life would look like if you didn't compromise in any way. On any level, in any part of your life, what that would look like. My God, why can I not speak? What would that look like if you didn't compromise in any part of your life and you stepped up to the plate and said, all right, this is what I want. And then tell the universe. Be honest with yourself. Once you're honest with yourself, you're the universe, right? We are the universe. We're not working with the universe. We are the universe. Once you're sure, step up, let the universe know, and then get out of your own way and let them deliver. But you're at this beautiful crossroads here. Hecate can help you at this point too. She's the queen of crossroads, right? She's the witch of crossroads. If you don't know which way to take or what to ask for or how to handle it, bring her in. She's going to help you with that energy. You've absolutely got this. But you're on the precipice of something big. So make sure whatever it is that cracks open for you is exactly what you want, because you're here to have the life that you want, and you're being asked what that is right now. So take them up on it. Take them up on it, Pal One. Go get you. So, my darlings, this is what we have for you. We're sending you so much love and light for exactly who you are and where you are. This is an exciting moment. It might feel a little confusing, but you're right there. Just be honest with yourself. You've absolutely got this. And if you've been feeling like the magic has been coming out a little bit, it's going to come back. I promise you it's going to come back once you level up and you're honest with yourself. So if you haven't subscribed, feel free to do that. We would love to have you, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a video a week. And of course, we have the podcast episodes and all sorts of things going on. Website down below, Unicorn School of Light down below. We have a lot of free courses, a lot of resources for you for support. So go be you, and until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye. Hello, Pal 2. If you chose the beautiful lapis stone here, then this is your reading. And again, we're bringing you some magic today from the magical messages from the Druid realm, getting right down into the heart of the matter here. So we're going to start off with Oracle and move on to, let's put your stone here, and then move on to some tarot a little later on. Let's get right into your messages. So you've got the sun, number 1. That's beautiful. Can't go wrong with a reading that starts with the sun, right? You've got rebirth, spring equinox. Beautiful. And you've got perspective, Milky Way. And you've got cosmic diamond, number 30. Spread hope and joy, illuminate the world, gorgeousness. And then you've got Spider, creative projects, gorgeous. So there's an energy with you guys about getting back to creativity in some way. So a lot of you have creative aspirations, and for some of you, it's more about you're brilliant at what you do, but maybe it's really about how you feel as though you can make your money or your way in the world. And this is really about and this came up with Pal 1 too. So this is, and it's not a surprise because we work with this energy. We're all a lot more alike than we perceive that we are. So, but different energy to Pal 1. But again, this is about getting back to you and being very honest about what it is that you want. And for you guys, it's about, there's an energy that's around you when you're in your creative projects. Now, of course, these are general readings. So each of you will have a different take on a general or a more specific take on creativity. But for you guys, when you get into that creative mode, whether you're a painter or a poet or a singer, whatever it is, there's something that shines from you. There's something that you really, it doesn't just shine from your soul. It makes you realize why you're here. Also, it becomes sort of this energy where it puts you in touch with absolutely everything in the world. It makes you realize who you are, this creativity within you. Now, in our society, we're told creativity doesn't really matter that much. I mean, it does. It's just, we have a very weird relationship with creativity insofar as like a few people have quote unquote made it, right? And then we put them up on this pedestal that is absolutely ridiculous and nobody needs that, right? I can't imagine that people really need that kind of pedestal. And then when it comes to the day-to-day of creativity, there's not a lot of room for other people to make it, and then there's a lot of pressure if people want to go off in creative directions to sort of make it, and we don't really have that sort of freedom to just go out there and be creative, right? It's like you've either got to be amazing, on top of your game. And even some people who are on top of their game. I mean, there's a lot of other people that out there that are even much more talented than that. It's just like it's this weird game in the creative field, and some of you may have sort of believed or taken it upon yourself to believe that whatever you do cannot really, it's not that it won't fit into the world, but you can't make it work. You can't make it work with the money that you want or the success that you want. And even though some of you feel as though you're either not good enough to do it, or some of you feel as though, you're brilliant at what you do, but it's just you've not been able to make it work in that way. And again, these are general readings. Some of you have taken that creativity and done what you can to a certain degree to integrate into the world, to be able to make your money. It's not quite what you want to do, but it's better than you've got it a lot better than other people. Like your job's a lot more creative than other people's job. So you feel as though you've done pretty well for yourself, but you're being asked, just like Pal 1, right, to be completely honest about what it is that you want in this world. And again, this is not about, each and every one of you is very talented in your own way, but mostly, and this is very important, each and every one of you has a very distinct voice that comes out through your creativity, and that voice is needed in the world. However you believe you're good or bad or not good enough, or we're our own worst critics, right? And very often we do not see ourselves very clearly when it comes to our creative projects, for the most part, unless you're collaborating. We're in a room or outside, we're doing this on our own, and we have no idea, we cannot perceive how it's going to be taken in the world, right? And once we give it out to the world, however people perceive it, of course, it's their own judgment, their own perceptions, that whatever they're projecting upon whatever it is that you're doing. But it's not always very clear to understand your own talent or at what level you truly are in the creative field, unless you're in a position where you're in a collaboration. And even sometimes people's opinion of your work can be very specific based on, their knowledge or what they can see. So it can be very difficult for you to sort of quote unquote judge yourself, right? And that's not what this is about. We're not asking you to judge yourself, but you do have a chance. Just like there's an energy in the air, just like Pal 1, you've gotten to the point where you're being asked what it is that you truly want in this world. And for you, there's some kind of creative element here that's coming in, and you want this. You want this more than anything for most of you. And for most of you, you truly are absolutely brilliant at what you do. This is not like you're not starting from scratch necessarily. For some of you, this is stuff that you've been working on before, but it's a matter of you stepping up and saying, I want to do this in the world. Like most of you know that you want to do it, but like, I'm good enough to do it. I'm going to put my energy behind it. Some of you know that you're good at what you do, but you're also a little bit afraid of your own power. Like some of you are actually a little bit afraid of success. It's not that you're afraid that your work isn't good enough. It's more that you do feel as though your work is good enough, and then you don't know how to work with the responsibility of something working out or you being a great success, because you've always dumbed yourself down and you've never been in a position where you could really try that on effectively. Now you're sort of feeling like things are shifting, and there's a way that you could have what you want, and you're trying that on sort of incrementally in different ways, and you're moving into this point where you kind of squeezed yourself out of where you were before, and now you're at this point where I'm no longer who I was before, but I'm not quite where I want to be yet. But you can't go back to who you were before. So now you're in this position where you've got this perspective and you're like, I want this, but you're a little bit afraid of it. Now, here's the thing. The universe probably won't deliver it to you right now if you're holding this much fear around it. Now, it doesn't mean that the universe doesn't think that you're ready for it. It's just that if you're too nervous, they don't want to make you more nervous. So there's a little bit of a tweak in perception here that needs to happen for you to be open in order to get the success coming in. Or, again, general readings to each and every one of you will be different. Or for you to step into that energy of, I'm definitely doing this. I'm putting my career first. I'm putting my creative career first, no matter what, right? And again, in society, we're told that being creative is great. Use that as a hobby. Have your 9-to-5 job, and then come home and do that on the side. Don't worry about that. So of course, most people don't have enough time to be creative to do that with everything that's going on in the world, and obviously the way in which we're sort of forced into these jobs in society. Well, not forced, everybody can do whatever they want, but you know what I mean. The way in which we're sort of indoctrinated, creativity needs its own space, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make any money from it. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Just get a real job, and then, use that as a hobby. I keep thinking back to The Office. I think it's the British one where the receptionist wants to be... she wants to be an illustrator, and like she's sitting there with her boss, and the boss says, oh, it's good to have dreams, you probably won't get that, but you've got a good job here and this, that, and the other. And she goes, oh, okay, and that whole thing of not many people in that field really make it. Oh, okay. That's in society. Like, we get those messages either literally or figuratively all around us all the time. But this is something that you want to do, and you should be able to do it on your own terms. And honestly, the world is changing. And if we want to step up and see these changes actively happen, we have to be part of the change too. So you're getting this chance, and let's get some tarot for you. You're really getting this chance to sort of shift in a way and to be really honest about what it is that you want. Again, like pile one, but completely different energy. And and you have the chance to sort of shift that nervousness, because the universe doesn't necessarily want to overwhelm you. So there needs to be a clearing out of your energy just a little bit for you to really be like, yeah, I've absolutely got this. And we're not suggesting that you go ahead and leave a really good paying job or do this, that, and the other. That's not what we're saying. But there's a way to incorporate this beautiful energy that you have with this creativity, to take it in a new direction and to sort of support it in a way that you haven't before. And also for other things that come up for you too. Anything that's, again, this came up in pile one also, but different energy. Anything that any ideology or understanding about yourself or your work that may be holding you back. This is a time to really look into it now. And again, don't go down the rabbit hole. This is not going to take years for you to figure out. This is just about really being honest with yourself, with your voice, about where it is you are right now. That's all this is. That's all they're asking you to do. And this you can do by actively sitting down and figuring out where you are and what you want. This doesn't require a hell of a lot of healing, like going into a cocoon and you know, and blowing it all out of proportion. You don't need to do that. So you've got the Queen of Swords and you've got wisdom here. Absolutely. You've already done the work. It's just a matter of honoring where you are and your path and what it is that you want to do. You have a very significant chance here to step sort of into a new timeline, to step into something that you, again, really want to do. But it does mean that you're going to have to take responsibility for it. Just a little bit of real talk. And some of you are a little bit afraid of success and what that will mean. So you're going to have to try on that success beforehand. You're going to have to be open to that success and get used to not dumbing yourself down anymore, or parts of yourself. So there's an element of totality here that's coming in, and again, very similar to pile 1. It will probably be a theme maybe in pile 3 too. But your beautiful truth and how you articulate yourself, and regardless of what kind of art or what kind of creativity you do, there's a succinct wisdom in there that isn't available anywhere else necessarily, at least the way in which you present it. So the work that you do is incredibly important. And you sense this, but you know, you probably don't sense how important it is. And as we said at the beginning, to reiterate, you could not possibly understand how important your work is, because you're sitting there in a room, or you know, you're in a spot where you can't see things objectively because you created it. Again, even if you're in a collaboration, you're still not going to be able to see things clearly. So you're going to have to trust and let go. Now, surrendering is something that you've really had to figure out how to do, and you've gotten a lot better at it, pile 2, so well done. But this requires a new level of surrendering and a new level of faith here, which we sympathize with. It really does, because, you know, surrendering under normal circumstances, like, you know, this is what I want to do in life, that's already difficult enough. But when you bring in the creativity, which is your heart and your soul, that something that not everybody has seen yet, right? This is really you putting yourself out there. And on top of that, you've got to go into that that beautiful surrendering process at the same time. That's incredible. That's like another layer to this vulnerability, right? It requires a hell of a lot of vulnerability. It requires a hell of a lot of faith, and it's going to require everything you have, but the payoff could be huge here. The payoff could be huge. And for a lot of you, it really is projects that you already know that are out there. It's a matter of how you put your energy out there to represent them in the right way, so they land in with the right people, and, you know, people get to see them or hear them or read them, whatever it is that you do, right? This is next level stuff, but this is something that you may already have created. Or this is for some of you where you're like, I want to do this, but I've never really given myself time to do this yet. Not quite sure what it is, but it's absolutely in the creative realm. And I want to dedicate myself to doing this. This is something that you do, right? This is something that you can do. Either way, regardless of where you are on your journey of creativity, it really doesn't matter. It does require you saying, this is what I'm here to do. Now, for each and every one of you, even if you've not created anything yet and you're not entirely sure what that's going to look like, that creation's going to look like, you've already devoted yourself in some way, shape or form to the fact that you're going to be doing this, that your life is going to be about creating, right? So all you need to do is come into the creative factor. I'm going to dedicate myself to creation, to creating, and see where it goes. But it does require you stepping up to that. And in that energy, what happens is this expansiveness just opens up, and the universe can come in and meet you. Without that expansiveness, you're just sort of bumping up against the wall and kind of knowing what you're doing, or being frustrated with the work that you've already done because it's at a plateau, it's not going anywhere, right? So there's an energy opening up for you. There's a magic right there for you to tap into, but it does require you saying, all right, I'm dedicating myself to this. I'm going to do this. And it's okay if you're frightened. Do it anyway. The universe is going to support you. Right now, there's a little bit of an inkling where you're sort of, we don't want to say terrified, but you're a little bit too nervous, where the universe is a little bit nervous to deliver it to you. They want you to be a little bit more stable before this happens, but you're ready for this. You can do it. It's just a matter of you saying, I am ready, I'm going to do this, and stepping into this new energy. Yeah, you've got the 10 of Cups here. And transformation is reversed, and you've got the Two of Swords to go in any direction. So it's about you making that decision. Now, in the past, the decisions that you've made, even when you sort of made a decision around your creativity, didn't feel as though it went anywhere. There was a little bit of a stalemate. So, you know, some of you may have given up, or a part of you has given up about ever really seeing any success from your creation. And even though you feel as though it's transformed you, maybe you're not here to transform anybody else doing this, right? But that stalemate was there because there's a divine timing element to this, right? And the thing is, your divine timing is now. We described this in pile 1 about being on the pond. You're already on your path. You're just literally flipping from one lily pad to another, right? So see it as that. In the past, you cannot compare your past. First of all, you just can't. You particularly are a completely different person than you've ever been before. So comparing your past is not going to do anything. That's just going to drive you crazy. And second of all, you were not ready. You were definitely not ready. You are ready now. It's just a matter of owning it. But you were not ready for that level of success that you've been asking for, to be revered in the way that you could be. You were not ready for that level at that point. You just weren't, for want of a better term, you were not mature enough in that way. There was other things that you needed to heal and figure out for yourself, and you personally wanted to do that away from success. So that's something that you chose for yourself. So whatever didn't work with your work before, your creative work, and if you considered it a stalemate, then that's what happened then. You don't need to go back to that. You don't need to think about that. You do have this energy coming in and around you where you can be given the life that you want. And when we say given, you've worked very hard for that life. You've sacrificed a lot for that life, actually. When you look back about what you've done with your art and what you've given up to be able to have that kind of art in your life, or if you're at the precipice of deciding that that's what you want, and you haven't decided what that art's going to look like, when you look back on your life and you've looked at what you've accomplished and how hard you've worked to get to this point, you've realized that you've put a lot of time and effort into this. You're not starting from scratch, no matter what. Even if you don't have a clue what you're going to create, you've created something for yourself. You've created a life for yourself. You've created a place for you to move forward with this creativity. And for those of you who have been working within the art realm already, then you've created these beautiful works, right? No matter what, you're in a position to move forward and have the success that you want, but you've got to own it. You've got to own it. And this is time for you to be able to go out there and own it. And again, you don't need to be over focused on this. The universe will take care of where it goes and this, that, and the other. And as a reminder, you're not in control of how people perceive your work. And it's not really, there's nothing about you being nervous about how you're perceived. That's in the past, that could have been something, but you're not even you don't mind the criticism. You don't mind that because you don't take things personally. When your work is out there, at the end of the day, people project upon it. They see what they want to see. And that happens with every single piece of work, right? So you're not worried about that because once you start on one piece, that's out into the universe. You'll go on to something else and you'll go on to something else. For you, it's always about the progression. It's always about getting a little bit more clear about what you want to say, a little better at what you do, or putting yourself out there and trying on a new medium, if you're a photographer going into film or whatever it is. It's always about growing, right, for you. So, if that creative project that you had didn't hit home with everybody, you'll go on and do something else. You don't care about the criticism. It's not that. It's just a matter of owning your wisdom and putting it out there, that vulnerability, that beauty. And a lot of you have put your heart and soul into what you do. You're very good at what you do. So having that faith and moving forward and knowing that you can have the life that you want. I want to pull one more card for you for this. So, and having the faith that the transformation that your art has done for yourself will do for somebody else. It will. It absolutely will, because your art and the energy of it has transformed you in incredible ways, and it will for somebody else also. Yeah, movement. It requires movement. And you've got fertility here. This is all ready for you to go and move forward. And again, this is, you know, don't get bogged down with the aesthetics of it or whatever it is, the details. You know, this is just about the action, the movement forward. In pile one, we had, you know, we had the divine masculine moving forward, taking that action. For you, it's just reaching out and saying and admitting to yourself what it is that you truly want. And if there's anything, again, fragmented that's coming up for you, that's giving you any doubts, bring in that fragment and integrate it right now. Again, don't go down the rabbit hole. You've absolutely got this. The life that you want is right there, but you've got to claim it. It's important. The universe doesn't... The universe works with you when you ask for help. The universe works with you when you surrender, but when you're honest about what it is that you want. There's so many times that you've asked for things that you think that you can get, and the universe has delivered it. 9 times out of 10, you've gone, oops, I don't really want this anymore. Ask for something that you really want and take that action. That aligned action could just be about a tweak in perception for you, about being really honest about what it is and who you are and what you want in the world. And that literally will open the door that the universe is ready to open for you and bring in what you want. They're ready to meet you halfway. It's just that you've got to step up to the plate and be honest about what it is that you want. But there's a divine timing aspect to this. So even if you've been at it a while, there is something that's shifting for you if you allow it to happen. So if you decide to take it, that's wonderful. You've got to weigh out. You've got to weigh up if you want to. So this is what we have for you, Paul 2. Absolutely incredible. What you do with this information is completely up to you, of course. We're sending you so much love and light for exactly who you are and where you are in the world. Go be you. Go put yourself out there or dedicate yourself in any way that you see fit. Again, take this information and integrate it with your own soul and your own intuition, because it's going to hit differently for each and every one of you. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to, and hit that bell icon if you want to. And of course, we have tons of resources down below. So go ahead and come join the Unicorn Light family. You know, hang out with us at if you want to go to the school, the Unicorn School of Light, and of course website. Lots of support, lots of things, everything down below. Always listen to your soul. If that's what it feels like it wants, go be you. Until we meet again, Pal 2, take care. Bye-bye. Hello, Pal 3. Last but not least, if you chose the clear quartz with the beautiful pentacle, then this is your reading. And of course, we are getting you some magic, some magical energy going deep here. We're going to be talking about magical messages from the Druid realm. And so far, this is all about creativity. We'll see what comes up for you. So we're starting off with the Oracle and moving on to Tarot as always. Let's see what your messages are. You've got Journey in number 2. Ooh, that is a beautiful card there. Love that. On the bridge, ready. You've got Shaman, Ancient Healing Wisdom. Gorgeous. You've got New Moon and Promise. Lovely. And you've got Enter the Magic, Live in the Now, Seize the Moment, and number 6 here. And then you've got Protection. Beautiful. So yeah, there seems to be an energy of creativity, which I'm not at all surprised with the Druid energy, coming into this energy of, excuse me, of claiming what it is that you want. So for you, like Pal 1 and Pal 2, but different energy, you're also on the precipice of honoring your soul sort of in a brand new way. Now, unlike Pal 1 and 2, they're already on the journey kind of thing. It's just a matter of going in one direction or another. This for you is a completely different, this is a chance for a 180 for you if you want. This is a chance for you to really come out of sort of, there's a couple of different energies that are going on. For some of you, it's like you've taken yourself out of the world for a while. This is a way for you to really step back in and integrate yourself completely and totally in a brand new way. Some of that is part of what's been going on in the last 2 years, but some of it is like you were happy, you were in a position to take yourself out of the world and do some work on yourself, figuring out some stuff, and it's been big, it's been expansive. But now this is like an energy of, again, integrating into the world, but it's in a brand new way. You are not the person that you were 2 years ago, 18 months ago, 6 months ago, 8 years ago, really. But definitely you've shifted in a way in the last 2 years that's, you know, maybe like a 20-year shift, right? That it takes most people 20 years, even with the last 2 years. So you're coming out in this gorgeous way of completely integrating in the world with a brand new wisdom and a brand new you, right? It's a brand new outlook. And then for some of you, there is this energy where you are somewhat integrated into the world, but you're at a precipice where you can choose something different. You can choose a different direction, and you're on the precipice of doing that. You can absolutely do it, and you're just wondering what to do. Well, you're protected. Whatever you choose is going to be brilliant. And it's something that you want to do, but you didn't know that you were going to step up and do it. You're a little bit nervous about it. You're wondering whether you should. Now, each and every one of you will be different. For some of you, it's choosing, it's going for a partner, or choosing a different partner. It's choosing a different life. It's choosing a different path. Whereas, like we said, Pal 1 and Pal 2, they were firmly on that path in a way, but it's a matter of you've gotten to the end of that path and it's a stepping up. So for you, it's not necessarily dramatic. There's a seamless energy to this, but it is a completely different way of moving forward. So we want to remind you that you've come here to have a magical life if you want it. You're absolutely entitled to it. To a certain degree, being human, the way in which we have been taught, at least in Western society, that, you know, magic is not integrated. Maybe you can have some magic at the weekends. Maybe you can have some magic after a glass of wine. I don't know. But it's not integrated into day to day. And this is something that you don't believe, and this is something that you've also been working through in the last 2 years, of knowing that there can be magic all the time, and also how to integrate that magic, right? So now that you've done that on a personal effect, you're ready to integrate into the world with that magic and bring in magic with you. And for some of you, it's a matter of how you're going to do that, or what you're going to do. Or for some of you, you've been working within the world, again, integrated to a certain degree, but you've got this chance to really step up in this sort of magical mode. It's the only way we can really describe it on this journey, and really sort of solidify that you've worked in the last 2 years, and really say to the universe, it's not that you've been flirting necessarily with the integration on a bigger scale, but you haven't fully integrated yet, and how you fully integrate it is completely up to you. You have the chance to really choose here something kind of profound if you want to, and it's up to, for each and every one of you, that choice will be different, but it's up to you to be very honest about what it is that you want, and put magic first. Now, it sounds a little bit silly, but it isn't. You're here to have a magical life, and this is something that you've absolutely realized in the last 2 years. A lot of you have spent the last 2 years not just healing, and again, we want to be clear what healing is. It's just we've all been through some level of trauma. Because being human, that's just kind of how it works, unfortunately. So it's a matter of letting that trauma sort of fall away, really understanding how that works with you, so you can see yourself as more whole. That's what we talk about when we say healing. You're not whole, you are already. It's a matter of how you perceive yourself. If you do not perceive yourself as whole, and you have and you're not healing, then you could project all of your wounds onto other people. Now, this is something that you're not doing. This is something that you haven't done in the last 2 years. But you've gotten to the plateau now where it's kind of interesting. Again, for some of you, you can go on many different paths. This is not a specific path, whereas, again, Pal 1 and 2 were a little bit more specific in that way. It's still expansive, but a little bit more specific. But this is about you dedicating yourself to a sort of a life of magic. And that kind of sounds a little bit woo-woo, right? We get that. We get it. Totally understand that. But it isn't. And this magic can show up for you in many, many different ways. Now, a lot of you have realized, as you know, there's an element of healing that you've gone through, which has been intense and progressive in the last 2 years. And again, this is not something that just started in the last 2 years, but it could have been activated in a really profound way in the last 2 years. But the last 2 years have been also about you looking back on your life and figuring how many times you dumbed yourself down, how many times you said you wanted that, but you went for the safer choice anyway. No judgment, totally understand why you would have done that. But this is you coming back to sort of flirt with the either integrate fully into the world or flirt with, you've been flirting with integrating, and now you're going to integrate fully into the world. This is a way for you to say, I'm not dumbing myself down anymore. I want what I want. I'm not going to do this anymore. I see a pattern. I've done it before. I know why I did it, but I've gone back and I've really excavated. I've done a lot of work on why I put up with a sort of you didn't have a mediocre existence before in any way, shape or form, but why you didn't necessarily choose what you really wanted and went for things that you thought you could have. There were many different elements from childhood. There were many different elements even from past lives and soul contracts. You worked on that, and you worked painstakingly on that, and you have done your entire life. But again, it's gone full throttle in the last 2 years. So now you're ready. You've cleared the decks in a way, right? You've cleared the decks, and you've cleared the decks successfully enough to be able to see a clear path of magic. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do, right? And again, each and every one of you will integrate that differently, but it's a level of magic that you want, a level of magic that you want in your life, and you're not going to dumb yourself down in order not to find that anymore. So for the journey, you have the 5 of Swords here, and then you have the 10 of Cups. I believe that came up in Paul too, also. Not surprised. So, there's an element of you, especially in the past, where you constantly was sort of fighting against yourself. Like, again, what it is you wanted versus what it is that you thought that you can get. And you always sort of fell short just a little bit, because even though you have incredible faith in yourself compared to what you've been through, because for a lot of you, no one really told you how brilliant you were. You had to figure this out on your own. A lot of you sort of brought yourself up. There wasn't that level of support and protection. So it wasn't easy for you to even get to this point of saying, I want magic. Magic was sort of outside, wanting this kind of life. That energy was sort of outside of what you thought you could achieve in this lifetime. Many of you sort of sensed that there was magic out there, but you had to figure out that that was even possible. So there was an energy of you that was constantly sort of, internally fighting with yourself, whether you realized it or not, of what it is that you wanted versus what it is that you felt like you could get. And then what you did is, as you were clearing yourself out of past, of, the bloodline, of all of those other things that were telling you that you weren't good enough, because this is all about that, right? As all of that was sort of piling out, and you realize, oh my goodness, when I work on the bloodline, I realize I'm a little bit lighter. When I work on this, I'm a little bit lighter. And it's been a long time coming, and now you're light enough to see that what you've settled for before was just not enough. Now, some of you are a little confused because you're at that point where you're still looking around your life and going, there's areas in my life right now that could use a little improvement, because I've dumbed myself down a lot, in my life right now, where this area could be like, I settled for this or this person or this situation because I thought that's all I could get, So for some of you, the magic is absolutely beautiful, but at the same time, there's a little bit of this disheartening, because there's a little bit of saying goodbye to certain things, and that's part of the growing process. It can be fraught with anxiety sometimes, because you feel as though, I'm leaving this behind because it's not quite what I wanted. I'm starting off again. What we want to say is that there's not an energy of drama or dramatics around what you're doing. For most of you, you can build off of what you already have. So it doesn't have to be a very dramatic change. And in this way, you've got much more in line with it, much more in common with Pile 1. It's just a matter of honoring where you are and taking that as a foundation of what you've been doing, and maybe go off in a slightly different direction, right? A lot of you, actually, when we talked about people, a lot of you in the last couple of years have gotten the right kind of support from people. That's something that you've worked on. Boundaries you had to work on. Oh my goodness, a lot of you were like neon lights for nutters, right? You had a lot of that energy in your stratosphere in your life, and you had to learn boundaries, and you really had to learn them the hard way, and it was not easy for you, and it was very heartbreaking in many ways. But especially in the last 2 years, or even in the last 5 years, there would have been a shift, but particularly in the last 2 years, you were careful about the energy that you brought into your space, and that's beyond what we've been going through in the last 2 years. This had nothing to do with it. This was about the energy, the energetics of everything. and everyone. So the support system for most of you that you built up in the last 2 years has been quite wonderful. You definitely could be in the realm for being even more expansive and bringing in more people. For some of you, you've been quite careful about the energy that you've had in and around you for the last 2 years because you've been consciously healing. But you do have a good support system. So it's not like, I'm leaving this person or I'm doing that. It's not necessarily the energy of that. But for some of you, it may be like, all right, this has been long term. I knew this was going on. This is time for me to level up. Like we said, you've got this in common with Pile 1. This is a chance for you to level up. But the foundation that you've built could be really wonderful already. So you've got the new moon. Yeah, for some of you, it is a leveling up specifically in romance. Being honest about what it is that you want. Some of you have really come to terms with the energy that's been in and around you in past relationships where you were the giver and they were the taker. And this is time for you to say, all right, I'm going to go out there again. I'm really excited for this. I'm really nervous. Of course you're nervous, but really honing in on the fact that you want magic in your life and that somebody can bring in some of that magic. You have magic too, but yeah, absolutely. Some of you are leveling up and saying, the person that I'm with, we've grown out of where we are, and I've just got to be honest with this. And this is a painful process. It's never easy, Pile 3. So we're sending you so much love if you're in that energy. But also at the same time, it's become very clear that the energy of where both of you are is going in different directions. And again, that's totally fine in that way. So, but for most of you, it's a celebration of some kind of energy coming in. And for most of you, this is going to be sort of in love. But it's also about the magic that you want, but it's coming in around romantic energy here. A lot of you have been sort of like leveling up, and I know if you've been with me a while, I'm not in for that whole twin flame thing. I think that's been kind of exploited, and it's gone off in different directions that I think can be really unhealthy. But so we're going to refer to, but twin flames do exist. We're going to refer to soulmates, though. I just think that's a safer concept for clarity here. But for a lot of you, you've decided that you're ready for that soulmate. And you've done the healing that's worthy of that soulmate. You're already worthy. It's just a matter of you realizing that you're worthy and stepping into this energy, which is really exciting. And for those of you, your life in many different levels and layers is really getting expansive to the point where this person can come in. And again, there's a celebration here. We don't want you to over focus on somebody coming in, because that really doesn't bring them in. The more focused you are inwardly, the more they're going to come in. The more focused you are on your own life and you're really happy just being alone, that's when they come in. Trust me, that's exactly when they come in, right? But you're ready for that. You're ready for the magic. And some of you are just ready for magic in some ways. But there's a leveling up in your life where you're ready to integrate on many different levels and integrate back into the world sort of in a new way. And it can be very expressive. It can be a new path for some of you completely. Again, as we said, to reiterate from the beginning, sort of a 180 coming in where you get to make new choices. I'm doing this now that I didn't do before. I'm choosing a new career path. I'm doing something. But again, it doesn't feel dramatic. With all the work that you've done, it just feels sort of like you're in flow with everything. So even though on the outskirts people be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you're doing that, or some of you will, dramatic, I'm moving here, and it's somewhere like far away, or and it's unexpected, or I'm going back to school, something that's just, again, jolting. It's on the exterior. For some people, it might feel like, oh my goodness, you're changing your life, but for you it's like this free flow really of moving forward, and it's just sort of inevitable based on everything that you've done. And that the level of magic that you're willing to integrate now is just a reflection of all of the layers that you've gone through and everything that you've healed in the last 2 years. It's really absolutely beautiful. And there's just an energy of real calmness in this too. Like this is really calm, beautiful energy, like this really healing energy about what it is that you choose. So the trick of the trick of this is, and people can get really fastidious. They can get really strange about when we talk about when romance is talked about. Is this the one? Is this the one? And they can over-focus, right? And project upon certain situations and even project upon people. So especially that there's a longing there. So we would say, the intuition is always going to tell you if this person or if this situation is right. Click into your intuition. There's always red flags. You know, the red flags are never understood by the person that's giving out the red flags. The red flags are between you and your guides. They're letting you know, here's a heads up. This situation or this person is not who you think they are. You know, whether you listen to those red flags or not, or pay attention to them, that's completely up to you. You can override them if you want to, but the red flags do appear. So with all of these situations, because most of you are sort of, you're at a brand new level of this integration of magic, right? And there's a vulnerability to you too. It's absolutely beautiful. You're out there, sort of, you're brand new. You're like a little baby, a magical baby, right? So as you're moving into meeting new people, you're moving into this romance, and you're moving into whatever it is that's coming in for you, creative projects, making decisions that suit your magical sort of frame of mind. Now, always click into your intuition, and don't feel as though not all of you need to make decisions. Some of you need to make decisions immediately and feel good about them. If that's you, that's wonderful. But not all of you need to do that. Some of you choose very quickly. But you need to sit with it for a couple of days. We always say 3 days. You know, if you're a manifester kind of personality, like whatever feels amazing to you at the beginning may not feel amazing to you 3 days later. So, you know, really click into your intuition. If it feels good, try it on. And after 3 days, if it still feels amazing, then that's when you say yes to it. But really click into your intuition here. It's going to be really, really important for you guys to do that, because you've got that baby element. You're brand new coming in. You're just sort of coming out of this butterfly. You're just, you know, this catalyst. You're just a butterfly. You're using your wings for the first time with this energy and this level of integration with magic. And you can absolutely trust yourself without a shadow of a doubt, but learn how to trust yourself again with these new people coming in and whatever it is that you're choosing. But you have the chance to go bold here if you want to. And change up your life, because there's an enormous amount of protection for you to do that. As long as you're putting yourself first and putting your magic first, and listening to your heart, listening to your intuition at all levels. And you know, your practical mind, your ego are there to protect you. So that's wonderful to integrate them so you can have that grounding energy, right? But at the same time, you have the chance to go big here and sort of change up your life in a way if you want to. This is a really exciting time for you. And again, each and every one of you will be able to do this in different ways. Let's see, let's choose just another couple cards for you. So this is like a divine timing element for you, with everything that you've been through. And it's a time for you to try new situations on, magical situations on. So you've got the 9 of Staves reversed, 9 of Wands, and you've got Strength. You're absolutely in a position to be able to do this. But again, we want you to feel protected as you get out there. We want you to be able to make the right choices. You're like a baby lamb, a magical baby lamb out there. So please listen to your intuition as you move forward. There's celebration out there for you too, but sometimes we can get a little bit duped, especially when it comes to people and love, because if there's a longing there, you don't want to end up sort of projecting. So again, really listen to your heart, really listen to your intuition at all times anyway. But absolutely be open to this beautiful magic that's presenting itself to you in different ways, to different degrees, and always put magic first in everything that you do, every decision that you make. And your life has the chance to really switch sort of a 180 in this divine timing element. It's like a new portal has opened up for you to really take you to the next level. And you get to do this because of all the work that you've done over the last 2 years, particularly all of this inner work is ready to show itself what it can do on in the external. So allow for this, and just allow for that flow to go forward. And you don't need to figure out how any of this is going to work out necessarily, but just trust that bigger and better is out there for you, and you're absolutely ready to receive it, to have that beautifully expansive life. Again, this is going to be different for each and every one of you, but just always trust and check in with your intuition at every moment. Your intuition never lets you down. Don't worry. For some of you, it works really well. Again, that spark, I'm really excited about this. If you're still excited about it in 3 days and your intuition is still telling you to go for it, then do it. Have fun. Go get the life that you've always wanted. Your portal is open. You can do this. So that's what we have for you, Pile 3. Sending you so much love and light for exactly who you are and where you are in the world. Go be you. Go have that magical life. That's incredible. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell icon and give us a thumbs up. And of course, there's so many resources down below. Click any link that you want based on your intuition and, extra strength and support and protection. Whatever it is that you need, it's all down below. Whether it's the podcast or the Unicorn School of Light or the website, whatever it is that you want, it's all there for you. So go be you. And until we meet again, take care. Pile 3. Bye-bye.